Hello, BookTube. It's a nice, cool, overcast Saturday morning here in the west of Ireland. Um, I've been ploughing ahead with short story summer. I know it's supposed to be August, but you know, you can't help but be a bit irascible and kind of go against the current. But yeah, I've kept reading short stories, and I thought I'd go through some of the ones that I'd read that'd be worth that are actually worth talking about. So the first one is Under Old Earth by Cordwainer Smith. It's a science fiction story. Cordwainer Smith is a very interesting character. Uh, that, of course, is his pen name. His real name is Paul Leinberger, and his science fiction short stories are probably the least interesting thing about him. He was around in the 40s, 50s, 60s, um, and was an extremely well-respected um, sinologist, a scholar of Chinese culture and studies, and one of the fathers of psychological warfare. Now, whether you want to put that in the, you know, on the plus or the negative column is up to you. But yeah, like his Wikipedia page is well worth checking out and having a bit of a dive into. There's all sorts of nuggets in there. Like he was a godson of Sun Yat-sen, the Chinese nationalist and incredibly influential figure in the 20th century. Um, but anyway, that's kind of a side thing. We're into like a small part of his career here, where he was a science fiction writer. A lot of his short stories were set in the far, far future. I think he only ever wrote one novel, um, and it's most of them were set in one kind of wider universe, I suppose, called the instrumentality of man, where there's humans and kind of subhuman mixed animal abhumans and other weird and wonderful things out there in space. It's probably his most famous story is Scanners Die in Vain, and I hope to reread that one for this. I got a collection of his in 2019, was reading through it and was out camping, and when I came back suddenly the world was in lockdown and there was COVID and everything, so I kind of haven't read them since then, so it was interesting to pick them back up. So this is a story set in that kind of instrumentality universe. It starts off with the kind of the High Lords debating on like what human happiness is. A lot of the stories are a bit like that, and we follow Lord Stow Odin. Um, he's a love of weird, very sci-fi names. I kind of find it sometimes a bit annoying, but anyway. He's old, decrepit, he hasn't got much to live, but he decides to travel back to Old Earth with his two cyborg robot guards who have downloaded the consciousness of a psychological general and a historian. It's all very, very sci-fi and very unusual. It was quite enjoyable. But they go to Old Earth and a place called Gibeat, where there's no laws. Things have run amok, and there he hears of someone getting hold of this weird material called Congo helium that's generally used to keep the stars in their place, but it's actually been used here to generate a new kind of music. And as they go deeper and deeper, they find the person who's using this, who's kind of they see him as a reborn Akhenaten, an Egyptian pharaoh who could have started monotheism in that part of the world, and the woman who's just absolutely devoted to him, called Santana, and the figure is called Sunboy, which is kind of fun. So I won't give away much more of that story, but if you can get through some of the weird sci-fi names and terms, there's a lot of really interesting stuff in there. The Mannequin Me, I thought, was kind of a weird little side thing. I'm not going to tell you what that is. If you want to know what that is, you have to go and read the story. But But yeah, actually, kind of on reflection, I would recommend it. Um, the next story I read more of Jesse Greengrass's anthology, "The Decline of the Great Auk," by one who saw it. That's the title piece, and I've already done a video where I talked through that excellent short story, and it does give a flavour of what the rest of her stories are like. They are very constrained. They're contemporary. I think the collection came out in maybe 2019, and yeah, it was they're excellent. So I read a lot more of them. The first one on time travel, and that one, I think I didn't read that one the first time I went through the anthology, because there's two things I absolutely hate in books, and one of them is time travel. But I thought I'd kind of grin and bear it and work my way through, and it was great because it actually wasn't to do with actual sci-fi time travel, but it was more on like the experience of time in a house and in life events, and that actually you can be stuck. You can go to the past and stay there, or be stuck in a different time to everyone else around you. These are very short stories, so I really won't give too much away. The next story was All the Other Jobs, which was really interesting because she was going through, I was out of work and I was looking at this job, I was looking at that one. I thought maybe I'd go and live in this strange place, or do this unusual job, or have this lifestyle. And then by the end you realise actually she hasn't done any of that and has spent her time in a much less fulfilling way. And again, I won't give it away, but yeah, an excellent story. The next one is Theophasis and the Dancing Plague, about Paracelsus. That one, maybe it's because I read it very late at night, it just didn't click. It's a bit of a fantastical historical fiction short story. I might need to revisit that one. It just didn't click. It didn't see any of the spark of creativity that's in her other stories, so we'll kind of pass over that one. The next one was The Winter of 1958. I was expecting this to be, maybe because of the approaching apocalyptic weather and climate we're having. I thought it might address that a bit more, but it didn't. It looked at, there was these weird events called incursions that were happening, and they were becoming more and more frequent, and there was a lot of fear, and people huddled together, and rising anxiety about these unusual events that were just sucking all the life and brightness out of an area. But what had happened was then they set up this institute that kind of took away people's anxiety, because they saw, it's been dealt with by this group. The story is from the point of view of someone who goes out and observes these incursions and unusual events, and has to take measurements, and then every so often report back to their headquarters, and is interrogated. And it's interrogated is not a physical interrogation, but is interviewed about the process and what's happened and what they've seen. It was an interesting one. I kind of found it hard to get what the point was, but very well written, and maybe I was reading it too late at night. Maybe I wasn't bringing my A game. The final story I read of hers was of Jesse Greengrass's was Some Kind of Safety, it's about people who are locked in a bunker without the internet, and how they've suddenly boredom has entered into their lives, and what they do to pass their time, and how they are they more creative than they would have been? It very weirdly, I wish I'd finished reading this before COVID, because I think there's a lot I could have learned in here beforehand. There's a lot to do with your use of time, anxiety, fear, how societies deal with these enormous events that occur. Pity I didn't read it at the time. It reminds me of another. It was the best book I ever read on on a pandemic, and it's just a shame it came out the year before it occurred. And that is a book by an Irish author. His name escapes me, but the book's name is Nobber. I'll definitely do a video on that one. I spent ages going around telling everyone that they should read this book, and no one has heard of it. But yeah, I might crack that one open again. And then the final set of short stories, I'm kind of going out on a little bit of a limb with this guy. He's a meth-addled esoteric philosopher called Nick Land. If you spend a lot of time in what used to be slightly more darker reaches of the internet, his name will come up a bit. He's the creator of a philosophy called accelerationism, which you may have heard of quite a bit in the last few years, both around the Christchurch shooter. I quoted him extensively in his manifesto. Peter Thiel, the psychopathic tech billionaire, has also incorporated some of his thoughts. His meth-addled brain has certainly left a large smear. Anyway, he came out with a collection of writings called Fanged Nomina. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but within it there are some short pieces that you could interpret as short stories. I'm sure they're philosophical texts, but they're short stories. And the one I read was The Origins of the Cthulhu Club. He's very interested in Lovecraft and Cthulhu. Obviously, if you think something is coming to destroy us all, or there's some dark, evil undercurrent underneath everything in human life, is insignificant. Lovecraft, the weird fiction author from America, is likely to come up, and that it was actually it was a nice little short story. It was kind of in epistolary form about a researcher contacting another researcher about a tribe he'd encountered in Southeast Asia that seemed to have psychic abilities and weird ways of communication, and that now he was setting up a research group at Miskatonic University to study this further, and the final part is a warning against it, but also in a very kind of academic way, an invitation for collaboration. I thought it was pretty. I think there was a good idea in there. I think a more talented author might have been able to flesh it out a bit more into something a bit more interesting. You could go along the lines of either further down into the weirdness of what this person saw, or maybe in a David Lodge kind of way go into the oddness of Robin has joined me over there. You could go into the weirdness of academia, and what you could study, or how a research group is set up, and collaboration and funding. I think there could be something very, very interesting there. All the birds are coming out now, which is wonderful to see. So those are some of the books I've been reading, or some of the short stories I've been reading over the last couple of days. And I've a new subscriber now, so hello. I hope you enjoyed these videos, and I'll keep making them because I'm enjoying making them. All right, thank you, BookTube. Bye.